In less than an hour, St. Louis City Sheriff Alfred Montgomery will be back in court. Closing arguments are expected to begin in about 10 minutes from now. There's a lot to unpack in this case, and our political editor, Mark Maxwell, has been following this case, obviously, super closely. He joins us this morning. Mark, good morning. Thanks for being here. I know you have to run to court, so we'll make this quick, even though you don't know what that means. Just kidding.
Producers do tell me to
Producers do tell you to
keep
wrap.
it tight, yeah.
So,
also, great set. I mean, the holiday, you can feel the holiday spirit already.
Welcome to it. What do we expect today in court, just first off?
Oh, well, how would you like to spend your holiday weekend of Thanksgiving? Judge Stephen Omer likely to be spending a lot of this time poring over all the notes, the evidence, the court documents, and trying to come up with a decision. We do not expect a ruling today.
Okay.
We do expect the closing arguments. So both sides are going to get to go up and give a very long-winded speech, rehashing all of the 4 days of testimony from that parade of deputies that came through. We called it Montgomery's mutiny. It was stunning. Top brass, commanders, deputies, all lining up, auditors in the office to testify about erratic behavior, vindictive sometimes behavior from the sheriff, who was lashing out at members of his own staff at times. And it really did not paint a flattering picture of the sheriff. But the question is not, was he a rude boss? Was he hard to work for? Those things don't get you expelled from office. They're not high crimes and misdemeanors. The question the judge is going to have to sit with is, did he ever cross a line where he used the power of his office to abuse someone's constitutional rights? Did he flex his power so far that he's lost the right to hold that office anymore? And that's a big question. This judge has already said several times that he's not eager to kick out a democratically elected sheriff. And he said a lot of times you might want to leave these questions to voters to decide at the next election 3 years from now. But the state's going to make the case 3 years is too long to wait. He went to that gas station to harass and disarm a former deputy who no longer work for him. And then he went into the jail and he took the jail commissioner into handcuffs, just overruling and basically sidelining all the warnings from his own top commanders. Those two, I think, are the most serious abuses of power the state's going to try to flex on. The other 4 counts get a little more complicated.
Well, yesterday, I know there was some pretty dramatic testimony from the state side of things, but we've had 4 days of a lot of dramatic testimony, keeping up with this erratic behavior the state is saying that the sheriff's office was under Sheriff Alfred Montgomery. So looking back at all these days in court, what do you think was some of the biggest pieces of testimony that you think is really going to stick with the judge?
Well, I think there were a lot of little rabbit trails, and it's interesting to watch a trial take place.
Yeah.
There were 2 really eye-popping stories that I think catch the public's attention that might hold some bearing with the judge. One was that recent land tax sale. So get this, the day the sheriff is taken into federal custody, they hold the biggest land tax sale in the sheriff's office history. They have, because of the tornado, they couldn't hold these as regularly as they would, so they had 4 all in one day. And they hauled in $2.2 million in cash, loose bills. And by the time the colonel, the second in command, walked into this office to see it all the cash was spread out on the floor in the sheriff's office, and their cash machine was broken. So they're just literally counting by hand all these bills. Now, will that have any bearing on the ultimate ruling in this case? No, probably not. But it just paints an office in disarray. And this was the procedure that they used to count the cash the first time. The second time, the sheriff was gone, so they can't really pin this on him directly. But there was $39,000 in money that was unaccounted for. Now, was that an accounting error? Did someone not write it down correctly? Did someone not show up with their money and pay for it? We just don't know the answer to that yet. But that was just really interesting to see that one. And if I'm honest, I forgot the second example already. You asked me about something else. And I was
one of the things I noticed, which was interesting in your past days of reporting, is that you talk about how there's really been a shift. When this whole trial started, it was, did he do all of these things?
Right.
Where now it's like, no, he did them, but does it equate to kicking him out of office?
Yeah,
right?
It went from like the chaos and the confusion of all the confrontation and stuff to the consequence side now. And that's where the judge is going to have to make this decision. It's impossible to predict. This judge has been pretty old school. He's warned the state and the defense, don't make this state trial. Don't try to bootstrap that federal criminal case in my court. You're not going to get away with that here. So he's not trying to put the sheriff on trial for any crimes. That's really fascinating. Even yesterday in court, the defense brought out 3 flip phones. I've never seen this. And they gave the flip phones to the judge and to the witness on the stand. And they even asked the clerk of the court, hey, call this number and see if one of those 3 phones rings. And I'm like, where are they going with this? And the federal prosecutor who brought the criminal case about witness tampering was sitting in the back of the court. This felt to me like a show trial, bluffing or putting your cards on the table, telling the federal prosecutor, go ahead and try to bring that burner phone witness intimidation case, because one of those phones was a work-issued phone. It wasn't like some burner phone he bought through the drug trade or on the streets to try to conceal his identity. The defense was saying Alfred Montgomery got that so-called untraceable phone from work. It was a work-issued phone that just didn't belong to him.
Wow.
So like you're seeing all this kind of dog and pony show in the trial that I don't think is relevant. So the closing arguments are going to be fascinating, if not confusing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're the guy for it, so you'll be in there all day. You'll let us know if it was confusing and fascinating all at the same time.
Don't expect a ruling today.
Right.
The judge might sit with all this. Written ruling probably comes out sometime later next week. We'll see.
All right. Well, you'll have updates later today.
Yeah.
And on the 5+ app and on Instagram and all that good stuff.
Will
All right.
do.
Thanks, Mark. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.